It cools any room in about 10 minutes. It cost me almost nothing to build, and it runs on the sun. No power bill, no expensive unit, no technician knocking on my door asking for $400. Just a few parts I already had sitting in my garage. Let me show you exactly how I did it. Because last summer, I was miserable. I mean genuinely, sweating through the sheets miserable. It was July. The kind of heat that makes the air feel thick. The kind where you open a window and it's worse outside than in. My bedroom upstairs turned into an oven every afternoon. By 3 o'clock, you could barely breathe in there. I'd lie on top of the covers, a fan blowing right in my face. And all that fan did was push hot air around the room, warm wind. That's all it was. You know that feeling when the fan is on full blast and you're still sweating? That was my whole summer. And I thought, fine. I'll just buy an air conditioner. Problem solved. So I went to the store. The little window units, the cheap ones that barely cool a closet, almost $200. The decent ones, $350, $400. And the portable ones on wheels, the kind they show in the commercials with the happy family, some of those were over $500. $500 for one room. I stood there in that aisle and just felt my stomach drop. Because that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came after. My neighbor bought one of those units. Nice guy, proud of it, showed it off. Then his electric bill came. He told me it jumped almost $90 in a single month. $90. Just to run one air conditioner. For 30 days. Multiply that across a whole summer. June, July, August. Sometimes into September. You're looking at $200, $300 extra dollars a year. Easy. And that's every single year, forever. You buy the unit, then you pay to feed it, over and over. It's like the machine is hungry, and it eats your money all summer long. I did the math one night, sitting at my kitchen table, sweating. The unit, plus the electricity, plus the fact that these things break down after a few seasons. I was looking at well over $1,000 over the next few years, just to not be hot in my own house. And something about that made me angry. Not sad, angry. Because it felt like a trap, like comfort had a price tag and the price kept going up. So I went online, late at night. Couldn't sleep anyway, too hot. And I started reading about how air conditioning actually works. Not the brand names, not the marketing, the actual science of it. How does a thing make air cold? And what I learned changed everything. Because here's the secret nobody in those stores wants you to know. Cooling air is not complicated. It's not magic. It's not some patented technology you have to pay $500 for. The basic principle is something humans have used for thousands of years. Before electricity, before anyone had a power grid. People in ancient Egypt did it. People in old Persia did it. They hung wet cloth in front of their windows. When hot air passes over something cold and wet, the water evaporates. And when water evaporates, it pulls heat out of the air. That's it. That's the whole trick. It's called evaporative cooling. And it's been around for centuries. The hot air goes in, the water steals the heat, the cool air comes out. Your own body does this. It's called sweating. When sweat evaporates off your skin, you feel cooler. Same exact principle. So I thought, okay, if I can recreate that with stuff I already own, I might be able to beat this whole thing. No $400 unit, no $90 power bill, just physics. Free, ancient, reliable physics. And that's when I started building. Now, I want to be honest with you. My first attempt was a disaster. I grabbed a bowl of ice, put it in front of my fan, and yeah, it worked for about 4 minutes. The air got a little cooler. Then the ice melted. And I was back to warm wind and a puddle on my floor. That's the problem most people hit. They try the ice trick, it fails, they give up, but I didn't give up. Because I understood the principle now, the ice wasn't the answer. The ice was just a clumsy way to get to the answer. What I really needed was a steady source of cold and a way to move air across it, continuously. So I went out to my garage and I started looking at what I had. And this is the part I love. Because everything I used, you probably already have. Or you can get it for a couple of dollars. The first thing I grabbed was a cooler. One of those cheap foam picnic coolers. You know the white ones? The kind that costs a few dollars at any gas station? If you don't have one, a plastic storage bin with a lid works just as well. That's your main body. That's the box that holds the cold inside. The whole point of a cooler is that it keeps cold things cold. It traps the temperature. It's already designed to do exactly what we need, so we're using it for its actual purpose, just in a clever way. Next, I needed a fan. Not a big one, a small one. I used a little computer fan I pulled out of an old desktop tower that was collecting dust in my closet. You know those small fans inside every computer? They cost almost nothing. You can find them in any old broken machine. Or you can buy one for a few dollars online. These little fans are perfect. Because here's the magic part. They run on very little power, hardly any at all. And that's the door that opens up everything else. Because a fan that barely sips power can be run by a tiny solar panel. A small solar panel. The kind people use to charge garden lights or phones. I had one already. A little panel I'd bought a while back for something else and never used. Maybe $15. And honestly, you can find them cheaper. That panel sits in my window, soaks up the sun, and it powers the whole thing. No plug, no outlet, no cord running across the floor, just sunlight turning into cool air. And here's the part that made me laugh out loud when I figured it out. The hotter it is outside, the brighter the sun, the more power the panel makes. So, on the hottest days, the days you need cooling the most, the machine actually works the hardest. It's like it was designed by nature itself. The sun creates the problem, and the sun hands you the solution. So, let me walk you through how I put it all together, step by step, because it's genuinely simple. I took the lid of the cooler, and I cut 2 holes in it. One hole for the fan, and one hole for a piece of pipe. For the first hole, I traced around the little fan with a marker. Then cut it out with a basic utility knife. The foam cuts like butter. Took me maybe 2 minutes. I set the fan into that hole, facing down, so it blows air into the cooler. For the second hole, I used an elbow pipe, the kind you'd find under a sink, a plastic one. I had a spare piece, but you can buy one for $1 or $2 at any hardware store. This pipe is the outlet. It's where the cold air comes shooting out. So now the lid has a fan on one side, blowing in, and a pipe on the other side, letting cold air out. The air goes in through the fan, travels through the cold box, and exits through the pipe, cold. Now, what goes inside the cooler? This is the heart of it. At first I used ice. Frozen water bottles actually. Not loose ice. Why bottles? Because loose ice melts into a mess, and then you've got water sloshing around. Frozen bottles stay sealed. They melt slowly. And when they melt, they're not empty. They're just cold water bottles. So you pull them out, stick them back in the freezer overnight, and use them again the next day. No waste, no puddle, no buying ice every single day. I keep 4 or 5 frozen bottles in my freezer at all times. I rotate them. 2 or 3 go in the cooler. The rest are freezing for tomorrow. It's a cycle. It never ends. It never costs me a thing. Now I know what you're thinking. The freezer uses electricity, right? Sure, a little. But your freezer is already running, 24 hours a day. Whether you use it or not, freezing a few water bottles in the corner costs you pennies. Almost nothing. Compared to $90 a month for a real air conditioner, it's not even close. So you flip the fan on. The fan pulls warm room air down into the cooler. That warm air swirls around the frozen bottles. The cold strips the heat right out of it. And then that chilled air gets pushed up and out through the pipe. A steady stream of cold air pointed right where you want it. The first time it actually worked. I held my hand in front of that pipe, and I felt it. Cold air. Real, genuine, cold air. Coming out of a foam box and an old computer fan. I stood there grinning like a kid. I just built an air conditioner. For basically nothing. Out of trash and sunlight. And it cooled my little reading corner in about 10 minutes. But I wasn't done. Because I wanted to push it further. Remember the ancient trick? The wet cloth? The evaporation? I wanted to combine both methods. The cold from the bottles and the evaporation from water. So here's what I added. I took a small sponge, a regular kitchen sponge, and I draped a thin cloth strip from it down toward the bottom of the cooler. That cloth acts like a wick. It stays damp. As the air rushes through, it passes over that damp cloth, and the evaporation adds an extra layer of cooling, cold from the ice, plus cold from the evaporation, stacked together. The difference was noticeable. The air coming out got even cooler, and it stayed cool longer. even as the bottles slowly melted. Now let me talk about how cold it actually gets. Because I want to be straight with you. No exaggerating. I bought a cheap little thermometer just to test it. The room was sitting at about 86 degrees. Hot, sticky, uncomfortable. I put the thermometer right in front of the pipe, and the air coming out was around 64 degrees. 64. That's a difference of more than 20 degrees. 20 degrees cooler. From a box, from the sun. Now, is it going to freeze your whole house like a giant central air system? No, I won't lie to you. This is a personal cooler, a spot cooler. You point it at yourself, at your bed, at your desk, at your chair, the place where you actually are. And honestly, that's the genius of it. That's the part the big companies don't want you to think about. Why are you paying to cool an entire empty house? The kitchen nobody's in, the hallway, the spare room, the ceiling. You're paying to cool air you're not even touching. This cools you. The person. Right where you sit. Right where you sleep. And it does it for free. I put it next to my bed that first hot night. Pointed it at my pillow. And for the first time all summer, I slept. No sweating, no tossing, no flipping the pillow to the cold side every 10 minutes because there was no cold side. Just cool, gentle air, all night long. I slept like a baby. And I woke up and almost couldn't believe it had worked. Then the real test came. The power bill. I'd been running my homemade unit for a full month. Every day, every night. And the bill came. And it was the same as always. The same. Not $90 higher like my neighbors. The same? Because the solar panel was doing the work during the day. And the only electricity I used was freezing those bottles, which costs almost nothing. I sat there holding that bill, and I thought about all the money I almost spent, the $500 unit, the $90 a month, the years of it. And instead I'd spent, maybe a few dollars on a pipe and a sponge? Everything else I already had? Let me break down the actual cost, so you know exactly what you're looking at. The cooler. Free. I had one. Or a few dollars, if you buy one. The computer fan. Free. Pulled from an old machine. Or a few dollars. Online. The solar panel. I'd already bought mine, but even new, $15 or so. The pipe. $1 or $2. The sponge and cloth from under my kitchen sink. Free. Add it all up. If you bought every single piece new, you might spend $20, maybe $25. And if you're like me, and you have half the stuff lying around already, you're looking at almost nothing. Compare that. $20 one time versus hundreds every year. It's not even a competition. Now I want to talk to you about who this is really for, because I think a lot of people need to hear this. If you're on a tight budget, if every dollar matters, this is for you. If you can't justify spending hundreds on a unit and then hundreds more to run it, this is for you. If you rent and you can't install a big window unit and your landlord won't let you change anything, this is for you. It sits on a table. It doesn't touch a thing. If you live somewhere with frequent power outages, this is for you, because it runs on the sun. When the grid goes down, you're still cool. If you care about the planet, about not burning extra energy just to stay comfortable, this is for you. And if you just like the feeling, the deep, satisfying feeling of beating the system with your own two hands, then friend, this is absolutely for you. Because that's the part I didn't expect. It wasn't just about the money. Though the money is wonderful, it was the pride. Every time I feel that cool air, I know I made it. From nothing. From things other people throw away. I outsmarted the $400 price tag. The $90 bill. The whole trap. And I want that feeling for you too. Let me give you a few tips. The things I learned the hard way. So you don't have to. First, insulation matters. The better your cooler holds cold, the longer your bottles last. If you've got a cheap, thin cooler, you can line the inside with foam. Even bubble wrap helps. Anything that traps the cold. Second, the smaller the space, the better it works. Don't try to cool a giant open living room. Close the door, cool one room, or just the area around you. The smaller the area, the colder it feels. Simple as that. Third, aim it right. The cold air comes out of that pipe in a focused stream. Point it at your body, your face, your neck, the places where you feel heat the most. You'll feel the difference instantly. Fourth, keep those bottles rotating. Always have a backup batch in the freezer. The moment one set starts melting, swap it. That way the cold never stops. I keep 6 bottles, 3 in, 3 freezing, always ready. 5th, for the fan. Position it so it pushes air down into the cooler, not across the top. You want the warm air diving down into the cold, mixing with it, then rising out the pipe. That circulation is what makes it work. Now let's talk about the solar part, because that's where some people get nervous. They think solar is complicated, expensive, technical. It's not. Not for this. We're not powering a house, we're powering one tiny fan that sips a whisper of electricity. A small solar panel, the kind that fits on a windowsill, is more than enough. You connect the panel to the fan, and that's it. When the sun hits the panel, the fan spins. If you want it to run at night too, you add a small battery, the kind in a power bank. The panel charges it during the day, and it runs the fan after dark. But honestly, at night it's cooler anyway. So during the day is when you need it most. And during the day, the sun is right there. Free. Endless. I love watching that panel sit in my window. Just doing its quiet work. Turning sunlight into comfort. No meter spinning, no bill climbing. Just the sun, giving freely, like it always has. I told my neighbor about all this. The one with the $90 bill. At first he laughed. He thought it was a joke. A foam cooler? Really? Then I had him hold his hand in front of the pipe. His face changed. He went quiet. And then he said, "How much did this cost you?" And I told him, "Almost nothing." He didn't say much after that. But the next week, I saw him in his garage, cutting a hole in a cooler lid. That's the thing about this. Once you feel it, once you understand it, you can't unsee it. You start to realize how much you've been overpaying for something the sun gives away for free. Now let me address the doubters. Because I know some of you are skeptical, and good, you should be. There's a lot of nonsense online. So let me be totally honest about the limits. This is not central air conditioning. It will not cool your entire 2-story house to 68 degrees. If you live in a place with extreme humidity, the evaporation part works a little less. But the frozen bottle part still works fine. And it does need you to do a little work. Freezing bottles, swapping them. It's not completely hands-off. But here's my honest take. For the cost of one fancy coffee, you can build a thing that keeps you cool all summer, without adding a single dollar to your power bill. Is it perfect? No. Is it worth it? 100 times over. I've been using mine for 2 summers now. The same cooler, the same fan, the same little panel, nothing's broken, nothing's worn out. Nothing's needed replacing. Try getting 2 trouble-free summers out of a cheap store-bought unit. Good luck, and the whole time, my bill hasn't moved. Let me paint you a picture of what your summer could look like. It's the hottest day of the year. The news is telling everyone to stay inside. Your neighbors are sweating, cranking their units, watching their bills climb. And you're sitting in your chair, a cool breeze on your face. The sun outside powering your little machine. You're not worried about the bill, because there isn't one. You're not worried about it breaking, because if it ever did, you just build another one for a few dollars. You're just comfortable, calm, cool. And every time you feel that air, you smile a little, because you know your secret. You beat the heat, and you beat the system. With a cooler and the sun. That's the feeling I want for you. So here's what I'd suggest. If any of this spoke to you, go out to your garage, your closet, your basement, and just look around. See what you already have. An old cooler, a storage bin, a computer fan in some forgotten machine, a solar light in the yard you never use. The pieces are probably already around you, waiting. And if you're missing 1 or 2 things, they cost a few dollars. Less than a single sweaty, miserable afternoon is worth. Start small. Cut the holes, set the fan, freeze the bottles. And in one afternoon, you could have cool air. For almost nothing, for years to come. I'm not asking you to buy anything from me. I'm not selling a kit. I'm not selling a course. I just want you to try it. For yourself. With your own 2 hands. Because I remember that miserable July. Lying there, sweating, feeling trapped. And I remember the night it all changed. The night I held my hand in front of that pipe and felt cold air. That night I realized something simple. We've been taught that comfort is expensive. That staying cool means paying up. Every month, every year, and it's just not true. The sun is free. The science is ancient. and the parts are all around you. You don't need their $400 box. You don't need their $90 bill. You need a cooler, a fan, a little panel, and a bit of curiosity. So this summer, don't suffer through the heat and don't hand over money you don't have to. Build the thing, feel the cool air and smile. Because once you do it, once you feel it work, you'll never look at an air conditioner the same way again. Go try it today before the next heat wave hits. And when that cool breeze hits your face and your power bill doesn't move an inch, you'll know exactly what I mean. Stay cool out there. You've got this, and the sun's got your back. Let me leave you with one last thought. The first time you build something like this, it changes how you see everything. You start looking at problems differently. You stop reaching for your wallet first. You start asking, can I make this myself? Can I solve this with what I already have? And usually, the answer is yes. So take this little cooler, this little win, and let it be the start. The start of a summer where you stay cool and keep your money and feel proud every single day. That's worth more than any store-bought box. Now go build it and enjoy every cool, quiet, money-saving breath of